Hey guys, welcome back to Kumasawa Reviews. It's been a while. Kind of took the summer off there, but gonna get back into it slowly but surely as things start calming down weather-wise. I don't have as much fun stuff to do outside and this and that. Plus, new house, getting things adjusted, blah 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 blah. But today we've got Bandai Tamashii's Grade 8 Vegeta. So, if you're not familiar with Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, basically the Saiyans like Vegeta here, if they have their tails connected, you can see that his tail is wrapped around his waist. As long as their tails are connected, unharmed, they can turn into these big, huge apes that are even bigger in terms of scaling and things like that in the cartoon. And they're just all powerful, insane, etc., etc. If their tails get cut off or damaged for any reason, even if they're in the great ape form, they'll revert right back to the normal human looking Saiyan form. So, a big thing about this one was the height on it. Alright, because apparently some of the advertisements made it look a little bit bigger than it came out to be, but it's still freaking huge. So this is about 12 and a half inches on the dot from what I'm seeing. Versus Vegeta down here, which is to the tip of his hair, 6 inches on the dot. And one thing about this Vegeta, if you look, he kind of has the windy hair and stuff like that. That's actually thanks to this third party producer named AJ's Customs. He makes some really cool stuff, so check him out on Instagram. Buy his products, really good looking and solid stuff. But yeah, so again, about 12 inches tall, and we're going to take a second to look at the accessories too. Accessories wise, so he comes with a stand. I don't believe that this is made to really hold him up in like flying or jumping poses or anything like that. Just pretty much hold him still, go around the waist, under that taint area. This is a good one. And we'll go over all of this stuff individually as well. But a couple of hands grasping Goku. Pointing finger. An alternate face with a damaged eye. A tail that's actually cut. Speaking of cuts, Robe, the savior of Earth, who cut Vegeta's tail off in the Saiyan arc. But yeah, we'll take a look at this again, all individually. First, we want to knock out looking at the figure itself, though. Okay, so when we went over the height before, we measured it at 12 inches, so I'm going to give it one more measurement to see exactly where. Yeah, personally, I'm getting about 12 and a quarter to the tip, and he's in a pretty straight up pose, no ab crunch or anything like that, even though he does have it, obviously. But giving you guys a roundabout here. And the tail here. It's a bit heavy. So you gotta find the right angle. You can't just kind of free whatever, or else the weight will continue to swing it around. But again, roundabout, and the detailing is good. Let me go ahead and zoom in here. All the little nicks and dings and things like that. It's really appreciated on my end. Between this and that Omen Goku, or is it the signed Goku? That was the event exclusive. It's something that they're seemingly putting more effort into with these quote-unquote 2.0 figures. Alright, so looking at the articulation here. There's a joint where the neck meets the clavicle. That's more of a back and forth. I'm not getting any side to side. I'm talking about this right here. The head itself, though, let's take a look. Seems to be a ball joint. But because of the shape of the hair, the sideburns, things like that, it doesn't go too crazy far. But there is like some up and down movement in it. But this meets the back pretty quick. Alright. But he does get his face up enough to open the mouth. I'm making sure I'm opening it as wide as possible. It doesn't go too crazy far down. Alright. Now the shoulder pads, they're on a ball joint in the back, so there is some movement there, in and out. And that's the same for both, even though one's broken. Alright. So there's the outward. Now let's see how this affects it going around. I haven't really tried much of that. So, and these are ratchet joints. So for this, you've got to go out. The shoulder pad doesn't go up enough to really let it go straight up, which makes sense. It's shoulder armor. That's how it should be. There is a butterfly in there too, a butterfly joint. So the shoulders can get some inward movement here. It actually breaks away from the body. The butterfly is so much inwards. And then right back. All right. Normal swivel biceps. So I want to test something here really quick. All right, so that's a friction joint. The upward is a ratchet. And then looking at the elbows, they are double jointed. But because of where this meets, it still only goes to about 90 degrees. So don't expect that regular Figuarts, you know, where the forearm can basically go all the way up the bicep. And then the wrist, pretty standard, Figuarts. So, just show you guys. Pegs in at a ball joint, so this whole thing can go around. And then there's rock, one way, and you can decide which way that rock goes on how you adjust it. Ab crunch. Alright, so you see that there's that joint there. It doesn't really go far back. It is a ratchet joint though, which is great. This is a pretty hefty figure. It's as solid as it is big. So it's pretty much 1 or 2 clicks, inward, outward. Don't expect a lot, but it's there. Alright, and then there's more. This is friction on the actual waist joint itself. Alright, so when it comes down to, you can get a good bit of ab crunch. Enough to at least bend down and be imposing. I think we're moving into rocking them at the hips there, so don't want to do that. Alright, and the back bend, it's not really anything. It pretty much goes straight, and that's about it. Now, in terms of waist swivel, there's swivel at this abdominal area, as well as the waist itself. So that's one level, and it kind of pops back. And then at that chest area too. So overall, about, I'd say 45 degrees each way. Now looking at the hips, outwards, it's actually better than I figured it'd get, because these thighs are molded so thick. Alright, and you hear that ratchet, I hope. Now, it has basically no back hip swing, which is unfortunate, but it's what it is. Knees, double jointed, but still gets to about 90 degrees between the two of them. I like that this knee is molded. It doesn't cover the entirety of it, but it covers enough to really, even when you have it bent, there's not much exposed. So, good job on Bandai's part there. Okay. Inward and outward ankle tilt. And you hear those ratchets, even in the ankles, man. These are good, solid joints. And also, I gotta say, I got this from Bluefin for the sake of review. And you should check out bluefinbrands.com. I'm sure most of you guys have, because that's where you get all the event exclusives, premium Bandai products, etc., etc. And so, overall, pretty good stuff. Let's get this guy into an actual pose. Just so, maybe a basic walking. And then we can play with some of the accessories. So, and you do have to have a little bit of patience with this guy, because even though the ratchets are strong, it's just a heavy piece. So the balancing and the like there, it's something you are going to have to keep a little bit more mind into than the standard ones. Okay, so let's make sure that, I'm going to move my camera over, get it a little bit above so you guys can kind of see what I'm looking at, put it at my eye level. I wish you could look up a little bit more. Ooh, and then we can get a down reveal. Alright, move this in. Yeah. And there we go. Again, this thing is monstrous. Let's take another. Again, with Vegeta. And this is the quote-unquote 2.0 Vegeta, the newer body release. There we go. Okay, so we've got him set up with the mini Goku holding hands. And I'll go ahead and get him rotated so that you can see the detail on the Goku itself. Especially for being the small size that it is, I gotta admit the detailing is magnificent. Both on the face and just the muscle detail and things like that. It's a good sculpt, really well painted. Like, they knocked it out. All right. So one thing I do want to do, show you guys the alternate face as well. Complete this out. So we pull that out. That's not frightening at all. Get this out. Even more frightening. Get the replacement with the damaged die in. Put that back. I'm going to bring the camera down some. I want him a little bit more bent down. This is just a personal thing. Lower. Give it an angle. All right. And again, those are the hands that are holding Goku, as well as the damaged eye face. Alright, and for the rest of the accessories, we're going to go ahead and set up a scene. The only one we're not going to look at is the pointer finger. I mean, I'm sure you can imagine what that looks like. Or you can look on at the gallery, on the written review, on kumasell.com. But we want to recreate Robe coming through, slicing that tail off, saving the planet, because he's the man. Alright, so we got the alternate hands on. Again, they just pop on and off at the ball joint. Make sure he's looking up. Okay, so we've got our pose intact. We're actually going to move him over for a second. Going to bring the stand over. And the stand again, tank goes right here. These go around the waist. Simple enough. Okay. So there's the stand. And again, it's not one that's meant to really balance him off the ground or anything like that. It's a literal stand. I just popped the tail off. All right. Make sure we're still focused there. We'll pop the alternate little nubby tail on. Alright, just pops on like so. Now for Robe, he has a female end on his back, and you just peg him on. This part on the stand. And again, pretty straightforward stuff. So, go ahead and focus on that. And even Robe, I'm hoping to goodness that he gets a full figure one day, because he was a fun character. Really underrated. Yeah, there we go. And zooming out a bit. Bringing it up. Sorry you can see my ceiling, but this is a big, huge figure, man. Alright, and again, this has been Bandai Tamashii's SH Figuarts Grade 8 Vegeta. Yes, there are things that I wish that this figure had. Things like the ability to look up, down, side to side, just a little bit better. Hip swivel, backwards, in general. Some more motion within the arms, the elbows, the knees. Just broader range in terms of its articulation because of the standard that the line set so far, especially with these new body figures. But for what it is, it's really damned good. And fact is, even sitting here thinking about it, it's a bigger figure than other ones, so you're probably going to have him more hunched over than looking back, looking up, things like that. So I could see why that would be a lot of where they focused a lot of their energy into its range. But again, it'd be nice to have just for the sake of variety, photography, things like that. You know, I want him fighting Voltron and stuff. I'm crazy. But I have a Voltron. Why not have him fight? Use a city diorama or something like that. Again, overall, really good, really solid figure. I enjoy it quite a bit. Thank you to Blue Friend Brands for sending this over for review. Thanks as always to TF Source, you know, one of my sponsors and stuff like that. They always hook it up with cool stuff in terms of figure arts. I guess TF Source, the Toy Source, same thing, but look on the Toy Source for that Bandai Tamashii stuff. But wherever you get them, get this, enjoy it. Let me know what you think in the comments. I actually had it for a couple of weeks now, but I waited until more people got it in hand so that I can talk to you guys about what you think, because when you do stuff early and nobody has it yet, what kind of conversation can you really have? Anyway, thank you all again for the support, and see you next review.